Chapter 5, we have continuous random variables. And in this question here, we have the duration of a professor's class is a continuous uniform distribution between 60 and 90 minutes. So what I did down here is I drew out an interval starting at 60, ending at 90. Now what I recommend you do is write this on paper. Don't try to write it in Excel. My handwriting looks really bad in Excel, but also it's just better to have it on your own paper. And we're going to use this interval. I'm going to draw on top of it for each different part that we're going to answer here. Now the other thing we need is the formula page, which over here is chapter 5. Probability is favorable width divided by total width. So I'm going to copy that and paste it over here. We're going to use this formula to answer all the questions. Total width is going to always be the same. So total width, that's going to be max minus min. How long is this interval? So we can do 90 minus 60. So this interval contains 30. So there's 30 between 60 and 90. So that's the total width. Now all we need to do on these is figure out the favorable width for each part. Okay, so let's get started. Part A, duration is less than 70. So I'm going to use the green pen here to mark on this, and I'm going to delete it after I'm done with each part. So I recommend you keep this on a separate piece of paper and just redraw this interval several times for each different part. So where is 70 on this interval? It's between 60 and 90, so it's right about here. So it's 70. So less than 70. So that is this part of the interval right here. So that's the favorable width. Now how wide is that? Favorable width is 70 minus 60, big minus small. So that width is 10. That's the favorable width, but that's not the answer. The answer is favorable width divided by total width. So I need to make sure it's subtracted first. So that'll give me the 10. That's the favorable width. The total width is 30. So I get 0.333. That would be 1/3. So that's how we do part A. Now we're going to move on to part B. More than 70. So we're going to use 70. But we want more than 70 now. So that's right over here. You could, of course, do 1 minus this probability. That would work. But we're just going to compute it out instead. So here I'm going to get the favorable width. Now for this, big is 90, small is 70. So it's 90 minus 70. So 20 minutes, or 20 is our favorable width. Divide by total width of 30. So there's our part B probability. And now the next part asks about 100 minutes, no longer 70. So I'm going to take 70 out of here and take that out. So where's 100 minutes? 100 minutes is right here. So more than 100 minutes, well, you can't have a class more than 100. The longest a class could be is 90. So more than 100, there's nothing over here. So this would be 0. So the width is 0. If you want to use the formula, the favorable width is 0. The total width is 30. So the probability is 0. So that was more than 100. If this question said less than, if this question was less than 100, we'd still use 100, but we would be thinking everything to the left of 100. That would actually start at 90 and go to 60. It would be 100% of the interval. Our favorable width would be 30, and we'd do 30 divided by 30, and we get a 1 right here. But again, this question just said said more than 100 minutes, so we had 0, because that was too big, and we wanted to go bigger. All right, next up, between 72 and 83. Now, one thing you'll notice in continuous is that it doesn't say less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. In continuous, you don't have to worry about that. So 72 and 83. 72 is between 60 and 90. 83 is somewhere here. 72, 83. So I need to know how wide is this interval right here. And again, we just do the same calculation we did before, big minus small. So you do another parentheses here. 83 is the big, 72 is the small. So that would be 11 divided by the total width of 30, right there. All right. This question, both the numbers were between 60 and 90, so that's fine. If maybe I asked, instead of 72, I said like 52 right here. So if I did 52 to 83, 52 would be over here. That would be 52. Now, this is the part of the interval we'd count as favorable. You don't count any of this because it's not possible. So we'd use this interval here from 83 to 60. Okay, we're ready to move on to the next part. Less than 65 or more than 75. So this uses the word or, and I'll underline it twice because that's really important, or. So less than 65, so 65 is close to 60, right about here. 75, more close to 90. All right, or means it could be in less than 65 or more than 75. Either one's okay. So now the favorable width, there's two parts to it. So we have to add up both parts for this computation. So I'm going to compute the favorable width first. So we have 90 minus 75. So that's the right one right here. Now we're going to do the 65 minus 60. Now these numbers, you could probably just tell me that that was 5. That's fine, but sometimes these are harder to compute. So total, we have 15 and 5, which is 20. So our favorable width is 20 divided by total width is 30. So there's our part E answer. All right, part F, less than 65 and, so same numbers, but we're using the word and right here. So how does that change things? So the difference is when you use the word and, both this and this must be true. So your class has to be shorter than 65 minutes and longer than 75 minutes. That's not possible because if you're shorter than 65, you're over here. Longer than 75, you're over here. So the favorable width for this is 0 because there's no ending time that's less than 65 and greater than 75. If that was a bigger number, maybe 85, you could have less than 85, more than 75. But in this question, the way it's written, there's 0 favorable width. So our answer for this one would be 0 or 0 out of 30.